So welcome to this very short recording that my guests and I are here to do today, because we feel that the time is right to talk to you guys all about our experience as women with different abilities. So my guest here is Janet McGrogan, and Janet, do you want to share with us what you are here for, what we're going to talk about, and some of your first indicative moments of you being different, with a different ability, without telling our viewers what it is that we have?
Okay, well, my name's Janet McGrogan and I'm 46 years old. I'm a podiatrist. I have my own business, and I think that probably most of my life, certainly from around about the age of 7, I kind of realised that something was slightly different, that I felt like everybody else had got a guidebook to life and I hadn't really got a copy of that. So I was always a little bit confused as to how people interacted and how they knew what to do in certain situations, and I kind of found that I was on the periphery of that quite a lot, not able to really get myself into those.
And can you see that, can you actually picture in your head now an incident where something has happened? Do you have a memory of anything that springs to your mind?
Just mainly figuring out how people kind of made friends and how they stayed friends and how they had groups of friends. I just didn't ever seem to be able to figure it out. I maybe had one friend who would be a really close friend. If we fell out, I didn't know what else to do, whereas other people seemed to be able to integrate themselves into groups of people. And I just, all my sort of memories of primary school are kind of hanging around the playground trying to figure out what was going on.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I know, I mean, my primary years, I always knew that I was different, but you know, we've got to share these experiences. For me personally, I had some very awful memories about toilet troubles at school, because even though, you know, you hear in nowadays in education, sometimes we do hear teachers talking about young children still not being potty trained or toilet trained when they go to school, which is all well and good. You know, this is today's society, this is the world we live in. But going back in the day when I was 5 and started school, I was potty trained. But I used to be frightened to even ask to go to the toilet. So I had a fear. I was a fearful child of asking.
Was that like a fear of drawing attention to yourself, that you needed to do that?
That's
I understand.
So quite the opposite of what we're going to be talking about shortly. So tell us about, so that's my experience as a young child. And the other thing is, I used to be really good at handstands.
Well, that's always useful.
But yeah, quite. And also standing on your head, it was almost like the opposite. I was comfortable, you know, being upside down, which again is it indicative? I don't know. But so I do. And cartwheels, I was forever cartwheeling. I don't know why. I don't know whether it was
too much energy.
Show my pants.
I always got told off or put on the naughty table for singing. That was my thing. Again. Always humming and singing, and then it would be like over to the naughty table.
Was it called the naughty table?
It was, and I was on it a lot. But it was mainly for that. It wasn't like, you know, terribly disruptive. It was sort of just easily distracted and, you know, just realising that I didn't realise I was doing it half the time. So there you go.
Okay, so let's just move on a chunk into high school. So you know, I obviously I've got a very short story to tell you. I am a businesswoman as well, with the same condition as Janet, but we're still not going to tell you what that is yet. You may work it out for yourself, we're not sure. But I think that going into high school for me, I'd had an international move over to Australia as well, and taught in Australia, and I had trauma after trauma with different things: being in trouble, singing, too much talking, stop showing off. But then I would be on the opposite end of like being fearful, frightened, didn't want to get up and go to school. So I knew there was something very different about me and I couldn't achieve. But what I could do was run fast. So I used to be, if I was caught doing something,
running away.
And that's an interesting,
team.
an interesting phenomenon that. Anyway, so tell us about your high school years and where were you at the time?
Well, I was in Northern Ireland and I had made it to grammar school. I don't think I really expected that myself, but I don't think anybody really expected it of me either. But I made it to grammar school and I did still find it very hard to fit in. And I think that's when I started doing what I always call like a morphing behaviour, where I started to behave like the way I thought other people wanted me to behave, which became a massive trait in my life and a massive part of me for a long time with regards to friends and boyfriends.
And when you say trait, does that mean that you're morphing into mask to fit in?
Yeah.
So I share that familiarity, that similarity as well. So, you know, you may be a person that might mask in order to fit into society. And if you are that person, then carry on watching what else we've got coming up. So, you know, well done though for getting a qualification in grammar school. And
yeah, I mean, I think I didn't ever really work or achieve what I could have done if I had perhaps known that there was something underlying at the time and realised that that was a problem. Instead, I tried to just wing a lot of it. Yeah. And, you know, that only gets you so far, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And my school was very keen to make sure that as many people as possible went straight to university. And I actually did end up in university in a course that I really had very little interest in. Really? And I dropped out nearly immediately because I realised that something wasn't right. And if I stayed there, it was just going to be, I might achieve a very low grade in whatever the degree was. So I dropped out, much to my parents' disappointment, I think. But it all worked out okay in the end.
Yeah. And it's interesting, you know, going back to school when I lived in Australia and having the different abilities to fit in where... Oh, sometimes as well, I used to go off on a tangent on my own and try things and think, oh, I might see what happens if I do this. And this particular time, I went into the art room and they used to have squirty bottles of paint in the schools. I'm sure they still do now, but and in those days in Australia, they didn't have air conditioning. It was very much ceiling fans, which we still consequently have in our homes. I can't sleep without the noise of a ceiling fan.
Really?
Because it was in my childhood. Yeah, it's like a white noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we all have them in our house. And but what I decided to do on this particular day was get the paint and squirt it up to the ceiling fans to see how it would decorate the room. So I didn't have that ability to think about what the consequences would have been
of your actions,
my actions. So, and I do believe, you know, is it Jackson Pollock was the painter that slaps?
Yeah.
So, you know, he was made famous for what he did. So I actually didn't think that what I was doing was too wrong.
Yeah.
So anyway,
you just needed to make a career out of it.
I did. Oh yeah, well, quite. I am an artist.
You are.
so just with makeup and paint colours. So what was interesting is that obviously I did get caught. I didn't run off, but I was frog marched to the head teacher, who was very much like the old headmistress out of Grease, the movie. I'm sure many of you have seen that.
Lovely.
So that's what she looked like. And she had glasses that she looked down at because, of course, they weren't very focals in those days. And we're talking 1981, 82. And or whenever Grease was out then. Anyway, so and so she looked at me, and I was told to, when I went to the head teacher, that I had to stand with my feet together and my hands behind my back. And so I did that, and she said, so how's Australia? How are you liking Australia so far, Sally? And I said, oh, I like it very much, thank you. And she said, she looked down at her glasses at me like that, and she said, well, Australia doesn't like you, young lady. And that's how it went. And so again, I was not liked.
Yeah.
So you're constantly told.
You felt that you didn't fit in.
Didn't fit in. So it was just really sad. And at that age, at the age of 11, 12, 13, very crucial time. Any ages, isn't it, even as adults?
Well, they are. And I think it's tough enough being hormonal and spotty or whatever you are at that age without feeling like you really are a square peg in a round hole, and I think other issues can arise. Now, I certainly had issues with food all my late teenage years right into my 20s, with to do with that control, that sort of element, that there was something I was not in control of, and that was kind of how I dealt with that, which I think is very hard, and a lot of teenagers have problems like that regardless of whether they have underlying conditions or not.
So even whether you are diagnosed with a condition, with a different condition, or a condition that doesn't fit in society, all is not lost, because we'll carry on to tell you why we got on to do what we are doing now. So moving on to uni, what happened at uni? And how old were you? Did you go through the traditional age?
I went straight after school, and then I dropped out, and I did just do one course after another. I thought, oh, well, I'll be a reflexologist, or I did some like an art course, and I did a marketing course, and eventually I one day met a podiatrist, and I said, oh, I have no idea what that is. And when she told me, it just seemed to interest me. And I, at the age of 26, decided to go to university. And the degree particularly worked well for me because it was full on. There was no sort of downtime to do your work yourself. I kind of need somebody with a cattle prod at my back, and there was a lot of that went on. So, and also I got pregnant at the same time, and that helped me have a routine, which I'm not sure I would have had otherwise. So that sort of factor adding into the structure, the very sort of tight structure of that degree, I think helped me get through it, and I found a career that I absolutely loved.
Really? It's fascinating, isn't it, just by meeting somebody. And
absolute chance.
Quite often people say to me about messing with feet, like, how can you do that? But I like making art with feet. You know, you like correcting feet, don't you? So
I like making people feel better.
And we do have that very empathetic way with us, don't we? Which sometimes doesn't serve us.
No.
Because you know, we can get trodden on with a very sensitive nature. That I know we both have. We've chatted about that before, haven't we?
We give too much sometimes.
Yeah. So tell us, I mean, I know I've had some very dark times, and times where I feel that I really don't want to get up in the morning. I know we're all like that. We all go through times like that, but these are very deep, and you know, we have to be controlled in lots of other ways, lots of other alternative therapies, medication. And, you know, I think for me, during COVID and the work I've been doing with our condition has taught me to take my mask off.
Yeah.
Not to go in and share everything with everybody, because I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's a private as well, but just the little things that we can... I mean, have you found the days then you've not felt like you've really got to drag yourself out of bed?
There's times when getting out of bed is literally the hardest thing to do. And you can have a run of that, really. And I think I've learned now that that's when I need to be most kind to myself instead of most abusive. Which would have been my historical behaviour, would have been kind of very unforgiving to myself, and now I've learned to be much kinder. And those days are the days when you really, really need it. And preparing for those days on your good days is important as well. So what do you think you would say to your younger self? I think I would say, don't be so hard on yourself, and it will be okay. And just take your time. It doesn't have to be an overnight success. You don't have to just wake up one day and go, I've got it all sorted out, that's me forever. Just take time, allow yourself to make mistakes, and just be really kind to yourself. And I think you're right there. And the other thing is as well, if you suspect that you've got an underlying condition that you're really not quite sure about, then seek help. You know, maybe go to, there's lots of different places, Scope and many more. You may have seen the advert currently on ITV about different disabilities that are unseen, and this is the word that we're using a lot at the moment, unseen disabilities. I don't see myself disabled, but oh my gosh,
psychologically I am.
Yeah.
And that is, you can't see that. So we get very clever at pretending to fit in because it's been our learned behaviour. We've taught ourselves in order to fit in, we have to copy what society is doing or what our peers are doing.
And I think in particular with our condition, that's how females tend to deal with it.
Yeah.
We seem to be better at doing that kind of masking behaviour.
Because we're mums, do you think?
Possibly. I don't know.
I'm still trying to work it out.
That, yeah. I think as a mum, it definitely makes you much more empathic to what your children are going through. I mean, I can still remember my teenage years very freshly, so when my children tell me about difficulties they're having, I can still feel that quite closely.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So, younger self, I would tell my younger self just to keep going. Just keep going. And it's almost a bit, for me, a bit like the Monopoly game, you know, don't stop it, go with it. And I can't play Monopoly. I can't.
Continue past, go.
Is it? Is that what it is?
Get your money.
I was forever in jail. I just could never play it.
I'm not invested in something like Monopoly enough, to be honest with you. I think that's one of those games that you have to take very seriously.
What game can you play off the cuff? Because this is off the cuff for our
well,
interview now.
yeah, I do like things like Cluedo and ones where there's like mysteries in them. I kind of like.
Who's your favourite character?
It's got to be Miss Scarlet, really.
Yeah, I think I had a teacher in Australia called Miss Scarlet, and she was sassy as well. So.
Yeah, she's got a bit of attitude on her, definitely.
She used to have some great quotes as well. You know, for those I can't remember. So, so if you could come up with a quote, what would it be?
Well, I've read a lot of self-help books over the years.
Are you not dyslexic?
And no, I'm not actually. I do. So have that strange way of speaking. Sometimes you get your letters all muddled up in your sentence, but I'm fine with reading. And so the quote I've picked, and I did write this down, it's by Jen Sincero, and she wrote a book called You're a Badass. And it was one of the first books that kind of spoke to me properly, because there's a few swear words in it as well. And she said, not in this word. She said, take care of yourself as if you're the most awesome person you've ever met. And I think if we all did that, we would be okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's really lovely, isn't it? I think, you know, I've got a quote from, you know, a lot of people know this, Vanderbilt, Eleanor Vanderbilt.
Yes, I have.
Woman's like a tea bag. She doesn't know her own strength until she's in hot water.
Yeah,
so that might be you.
One.
So I like that. And also I think Margaret Thatcher once quoted that failure isn't an option. So, and yes, it is an option, but when you have that quote whirring around in your head, sometimes, I don't know about you, but with our condition, I know many people have ruminated over things, and rumination means that continuity of you telling yourself that is something's going over and over
until you drive yourself
crazy, which in all due respect, I probably possibly have done had I not have had help, because I've drove myself crazy, in the term, good use of the word, by telling myself with what people have told me all the years: stupid,
not
thick,
good enough,
don't be silly, can't say that, shut up, sit down, get out, stop showing off. You can't. So eventually you get to the point where, when you've been sacked from jobs, that you have to find a way to survive. And so I don't know about you personally, but that's the whole reason why I went into working for myself at 18. I opened my first business because I was told I couldn't do anything.
I don't think I would have had the confidence at 18, so fair play to you. I have to say it took me a lot longer than that. But I felt that other places where I had worked, I always felt that there was maybe a better way of doing something. And I think now one of my kind of assets is problem solving. I really like having a problem to solve, and running a good business throws those at you every single day, and making sure that you've got it to the standard that you're absolutely proud of. So I was a lot older. I mean, I was in my late 30s by the time I eventually opened my own business. But I think I was just laying down the groundwork for that up until that point.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's fascinating, isn't it, how we've come this far, how we've met. So, I mean, obviously I'm in the hair and beauty and nutrition industry. You're in the
feet and
you've got all sorts going on in your clinic. What else do you do in your clinic?
Well, we do also have an osteopath who works with us, and those two fields work quite well together. One of the things that we do very well in Stride Clinic is gait analysis. And I like dealing with pathological gait, so that would be people who have walking problems because of maybe a condition they were born with, or something they've developed, like Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis, that sort of thing. So helping people keep mobile for as long as possible and staying healthy is really, really important to me, and it gives me a bit of a kick, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm the same, you know, with my business in our salon, and you know, we've moved into doing retreats now and workshops and all sorts of things happening. So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, Janet, for what we talked about today, or indeed come to you as a practitioner for their feet, how would they do that?
The best way to do it would be the website, which is www.strideclinic.com. That's strideclinic.com. Or look me up on Facebook, Janet McGrogan. I'm really passionate about podiatry as a career as well. So if anybody wants to know what is involved in a podiatry career, just give me a shout.
And that's what, you're very personable, and I think that's lovely. You know, quite often people sort of assume that when you're I've been accused of being a high flyer, you know, I'm sure you have the same. But the thing is, we are still human. We're mums. We love our children dearly. That's the best job I've ever done in my life, even though I never thought I'd ever have children because of my own trauma as a child. I didn't think that I would be good enough, really. That's the truth. And so I just adore it. And I think that, you know, in order to get hold of us, just reach out, because we are approachable and here to help anyone, any woman set a business, or any guy set a business. We're not being sexist by any means.
No, not at all.
So anyone that wants to learn about business, or indeed our industries. So we're moving now into the Be Bold and Beautiful retreat workshops. So again, you can find that on our website or any social media channels. So that's sizusalon.co.uk or Sizu Salon at Sandbach, or you know, just Google my name and it will come up. We've got another book coming out soon as well, so we're getting excited about finishing that. Have you ever thought about writing a book?
Loads of times.
Well, why don't you then?
I've started lots, but I've never. I've started books and I've never finished them.
Yeah, I know. Well, can I be your accountability buddy on that?
Okay. Maybe that's what I need.
Anyway, Janet, thank you so much. It's been really lovely, and I think probably we best tell everybody what we have.
Time to let the cat out of the
bag.
bag.
After 3, we both have ADHD. So thanks for watching, and if we can help you, do reach out. Bye for now.
Bye. Gosh, you're so good.